Welcome to the International Congress of Culture in Climate Action 2025. I'm Mauro Garcia Santa Cruz, Vice President of Climate Heritage Network for Latin America and the Caribbean. This event is part of the extended program towards Mondiacult 2025 and serves as a preparatory event to the UNESCO World Conference on Cultural Policies and Sustainable Development. I'm going to present the coordinator of the first roundtable during this day of the event. Giovanna Grey Nasralla from Culture for the Planet is going to be coordinating this roundtable. Giovanna is the Sustainable and Alliance Lead for Culture for the Planet, bridging arts and sustainability throughout a global collaboration. She has worked across museums, theaters, and galleries, leading strategic planning and innovation projects. At MASPI, she founded Latin America's first sustainability working group. Her academic backgrounds span business administration, sociology, and cultural policy, focusing on actionable sustainability strategies for the arts. Giovanna, welcome to the event.
Thank you so much, Mauro. It's great to be here. I'm very happy to welcome everybody in this first roundtable for the day. And just to say that today's theme is climate action within the broader sustainability practice across the global South and East. And before diving into that and to presenting the speakers, I just want to briefly say a word about Culture for the Planet. Culture for the Planet is a strategic spin-off of the Research for Action project co-led by the University of Lausanne and the Zurich University of Applied Sciences here in Switzerland. It's a global platform and community of practice which aims to establish a unified approach to sustainability in the arts and culture. We are very proud to be a partner for the International Congress of Culture and Climate Action, and excited to have had the chance to bring together such an amazing and inspiring group of speakers. So now, without further ado, I will introduce you all to our first speaker, Lorena Vicini, who is from the Instituto Inhotim in Brumadinho, Brazil. Lorena is currently the Executive Manager of Strategy and Transformation at Instituto Inhotim. Previously, she held the position of Communications Manager at the same institutions from 2019 to 2024. She was a researcher at Documenta Studies, a member of Veículo SUR, and coordinated the project's Episodes of the South and Echoes of the South Atlantic at the Goethe Institute São Paulo from 2016 to 2018. She is the co-author of Inspirador, International Guidelines for Sustainable Cultural Management from the Ministry of Culture and Goethe Institute, and editor of publications such as Pathways, Inhotim Visitor Guide, and Inhotim Bird Guide. Lorena, please have the floor for your presentation.
Thank you so much, Giovanna. Thank you all for being here. It's an honor for me being invited for this panel, for this roundtable, and having the opportunity to hear and to learn with you. So thank you so much. And thank you especially for the network, Culture for the Planet. I'm here today representing Inhotim. I'll tell you a bit more about what Inhotim is. It's a bit difficult to explain because Inhotim is such a unique place, but I'll try to do it in my 15 minutes. And we are founding members of the Culture for the Planet network as well. And so we are very happy to be here and to be part of that network as well, because Inhotim is in this moment of transition from being a collection to being infrastructure. And I'll tell you a bit more about what I mean. And being part of international networks is very important for us in this moment, okay? So I'll share my screen with you. Okay, so I'm honored here to open this panel by bringing a perspective from Brazil, from this global South. And Inhotim is a very unique institution because it's at the same time a contemporary art and a botanical garden. And I chose this title because Inhotim is not only a cultural institution, but also an ecological actor. So beyond hosting exhibitions and contemporary art, Inhotim manages forests and seeds and biodiversity in a way that it directly contributes to climate adaptation and mitigation. And in this sense, Inhotim functions as both cultural and climate infrastructure. And the Cerrado, the bioma where we are located, offers lessons that go far beyond Brazil. Okay, so a bit about Inhotim, né? Inhotim, art, nature, and territory. If you haven't been yet to Brazil and to Inhotim, it's already an invitation to come. It's a very unique place. I'll show you images and pictures and videos, but still doesn't represent the experience of being here present. So this panel is also an invitation to come and to talk, and my email is in the end of the presentation. Please come, okay? And as I said, Inhotim is a contemporary art museum and a botanical garden, and it's spread over 140 hectares of museum, so it's huge. And it's located in the middle of Brazil, and far away from big centers such as Rio de Janeiro or São Paulo, and that also gives us very special features. That means that what makes us different is precisely where we are located. So we are located at the transitions of two biomes, the Cerrado and the Atlantic forest, so two biomes that are very threatened. And this means that every decision that we take as cultural institution has also an influence, an impact ecological. And just to bring a few numbers about what we are 24 galleries from contemporary artists from all over the world. That means from Olafur Eliasson to Yayoi Kusama, and Valesca Soares, Adriana Varejão. Is also a mix between global artists and also new young artists that we give the opportunity to show works. And we are 30 external pieces, 30 botanical highlights. That means 30 species that we are especially dedicated over our gardens. And in terms of botanical garden, we have also 1,384 plant species. And a bit about our territory, I show you here in this map the Cerrado. As you see, the Cerrado is a huge biome, so it's the only biome in Brazil that takes all regions. And it's often called Brazil's water tank because 8 of our 12 major river basins originate there in the Cerrado. And is also a global hotspot. That means that we have a huge number of species in terms of plants and in terms of animals that are threatened. And in the recent years, because of the global warming and all the deforestation process that Cerrado is facing, the temperature growth already 1 Celsius grade. That's a bit because it has a huge influence in terms of the water insecurity and of course deforestations. And the Cerrado is, as I said, is the only biome that's present all over Brazil, but from the 70s until now, it has lost already 50% of its original vegetation, mainly due to the expansion of the agriculture frontier. So that's a lot, unfortunately. And that's a bit about Inhotim green areas. So what does it mean? Because in our 140 hectares, 75 hectares is of regenerating forests. That's a lot because that means that the fact that Inhotim exists is already a matter of conservation of our forests, and that means that 56% of our site is made of native vegetation. And as you see in the picture, we have here three images. From the first is about an ecosystem that's not fragmented, that unfortunately is very rare to exist nowadays. And then the second image shows that when we have a building or a farm, and then or a road, and then we have still fragments of ecosystems, but they are not connected. And what Inhotim makes is that we make this ROS ecological. So we connect all areas that were in the past deforested. Inhotim has this role of connecting this area. So that makes a practical effect of providing carbon and water and pollination services. Okay, here from collection to conservation. In the early years, Inhotim was focused mainly on collecting tropical and exotic plants, and the project has a strong emphasis in the landscaping. But today, our botanical garden and the botanical curatorial plan has shifted towards to conservation. That means that we are conserving rare, endemic, and threatened species from both from the Cerrado and from the Atlantic forest. That's a strategic transition and at the same time a strategic decision, because we are no longer only displaying plants, but actively contributing to their preservation. So conservation has become part of our institutional identity. Here I show you an image of this project that we have that's called Ser do Cerrado, that I'll talk a bit about what this project is. And in our website, we have this catalog of all species of the Cerrado that we have in our gardens and in our territory of Inhotim. And then if you click, then you can see a bit about what the species is, what curiosities and how the species is used. So it's also a way of providing environmental education. And we have also a seed bank. That means that we have more of 500,000 seeds preserved. That means that 85 species from the Cerrado and the Atlantic forests are there in our seed banks. And we welcome scientists and researchers to research in our seed bank and in our gardens. And that means at the same time that we are at the same time a cultural institution, a contemporary art museum, a global cultural equipment, but at the same time we are safeguarding genetic diversity for the future. And here I'll explain a bit about this project specific that's called Ser do Cerrado. This word still exists. And ser, at Portuguese, I must explain it, that has a double meaning. It's at the same time the verb to be, so we are something, so we are Cerrado. And at the same time is a being. It's a human being or a plant being, whatever. So this project has also a very poetic sense, in the sense that we are Cerrado and at the same time we aim to dedicate our studies and our efforts to the human beings, but also to the plant being and to the animals beings of the Cerrado. And when we planned this campaign, and I'll show you a bit, our main effort was to show that this world still exists. So it's not something that we are talking about the past. It's not something that it's already over. So we have still the opportunity to make this world works. And the campaign was an intersection between science, art, and traditional knowledge. So as in many countries, we have still many traditional population, original population that produces traditional knowledges. So how could we bring this traditional knowledge to the institution in terms not only as a curiosity or something that's exotic, but as infrastructure? So how do we turn traditional knowledge into the pillar of the institution, such as science and such as art. So how do we give these three pillars the same importance? And this campaign, we had a video campaign that was publicized in our out of homes banners, and so on streets. When we went in the streets, we could see that campaign, magazines, newspapers, and at this videos campaign. And at the same time, we had this publication that's called Ser do Cerrado, that we invited also a lot of experts to give their voices about Cerrado. And then we understood here that education was a tool for biodiversity and conservation. And here just a bit about how could we make this different voices into the same project. So here's the guests, the hosts of our project. So you can see that we have here indigenous representations from Edgar Canayacó, that's an indigenous artist. But at the same time, we have professors from universities, and at the same time, a gardener that works for us at Inhotim. So we understand that a gardener produces knowledge such as an indigenous representative or an academic representative. And we have Mauricio here that he created this association of meliponiculturists. That means people that care for bees. So how do these different profiles provide the same kind of an important knowledge to our environment? And then we use this concept of ecology of knowledges that I don't know if you're aware. This Boaventura de Souza Santos, he's a Portuguese academicist, that he brings that we have to shift our minds in terms of understanding that the different knowledges reshape each other. So a knowledge that is produced by indigenous reshape the knowledge that produced by an academic, and an academic reshape the knowledge that's produced by a gardener. So how does these different networks of knowledge, they cross each other, and at the same time they produce an influence on each other? And here I'll show you one of the videos. At the end of the presentation, I inserted the link of all presentations so you can see the videos, all of them. And here I translated to English and in Portuguese as well, okay? So this is one of our Voice of the Cerrado that belongs to Edgar Canayacó. That's an indigenous artist that he belongs to the Cerrado.
O norte da Zacru é o próprio Cerrado, a terra onde a gente pisa e que nos sustenta. Esta terra é a nossa morada coletiva. Quando eu olho o Cerrado, vejo diversidade de povos, culturas, plantas medicinais, morada de muita gente, visíveis e invisíveis. Vejo o Cerrado como o coração do mundo.
Okay.
O norte da
And then I bring here a bit about a quote of Silvia Federici. I don't know if you're aware of this wonderful woman and scientist and academic and human being. She lives in the US, but she's Italian, and she has this wonderful book that's called Reshaping the World. And one of the texts brings this quote that's part of the system's functioning is to publicize that there is no resistance. So when we bring this title, This World Still Exists, it's also to bring this perspective that yes, we are resisting these voices, it still exists, these animals still exists, and Inhotim has this perspective of bringing them all and showing them and showing that we are still alive. So we are still resisting. And then just to close my presentation, a museum garden as a climate agent agent. So we have this role of conserving, regenerating, but also to create a public narrative about how this world still exists. And how I bring here also a question for us to think of and to keep in our minds. That's how can a cultural institution with how can I say, a cultural perspective, but how can a cultural institution still create ecological impact? And how can we, as professionals of museums or cultural institutions in general, create infrastructure for climate resilience? And say the Cerrado, without the Cerrado, there is no culture to sustain. So preserving the Cerrado means preserving culture for human and non-human futures depends on it. Okay, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lorena. Such an interesting project and it's very passionate about Inhotim. It's an amazing museum, and more than a museum, as we were saying. We will move on to our next speaker, and I'd like to introduce Cecilia Lam from the Chinese University of Hong Kong Jockey Club Museum of Climate Change from Hong Kong. Cecilia Lam is the Chief Sustainability Officer of the Chinese University of Hong Kong and founding director of the Jockey Club Museum of Climate Change, the world's first climate change museum. She is concurrently director of the Social Responsibility and Sustainable Development Office, overseeing Hong Kong's SDG promotion, initiating Impact CU60 to showcase the university's contribution to society. Without further ado, Cecilia, you have the floor.
Okay. Thank you very much, Giovanna, and hello, everybody. First of all, I need to thank Mauro and Giovanna for the very kind invitation. So this is a great honor for me to be given this opportunity to share with all of you here. And I hope we will be going on to have some interesting conversation very soon. So first of all, let me share my screen with you all. Just a moment, please. So thanks, Giovanna, for your very kind introduction. So I'm not going to repeat who I am. Today, I'm going to talk about CUHK's enabling approach to climate action and sustainable development through our Jockey Club Museum of Climate Change. So I will talk about our university as a background and then the museum itself, and also the university's overall sustainable development strategies and our commitment to climate action. And finally, we will talk about a little bit about global partnerships, why it is important. So we are a relatively young university. We were founded in 1963. So we just turned 62 some months ago. So this is a very young university, publicly funded, and we have a strong commitment to excellence with purpose and responsibility. We have the largest university campus in Hong Kong, spanning 138 hectares of greenery and also cutting-edge facilities that support teaching and learning. And in the recent QS World University rankings, we are ranked 32 in the whole world. So we hope that it is a demonstration that we are a world leader in research, education, and also innovation. And CUHK is the first and still the only university in Hong Kong to establish a dedicated social responsibility and sustainable development office. We attach great importance to climate responsibility, and it has been demonstrated by the establishment of the world's first climate change museum. So about the museum. About 12 years ago, we received a very generous donation, $13.6 million from the Hong Kong Jockey Club Charities Trust, which is one of the world's biggest. And we treasure a lot and we paid a lot of effort in community outreach. Since our establishment, we have already hosted 1.8 million exhibition visitors. So we also conducted a lot of different kinds and formats of activities, such as the CUHK Earth Month we launched about 4 years ago. And then we also would try to acquire government funding to help us expand our reach to the wider community. Mainly, we would curate specially designed school-based projects for the school students. So we have successfully, very recently, several projects from the Hong Kong government to promote sustainable development in the school sector. And we are very at the forefront of youth engagement, youth empowerment. In the museum, we have already trained over 1,000 MOCC ambassadors who are all CHK students. So they were given the knowledge and the chances to serve the community, to lead the museum tours, and to also engage in public activities. And after the ambassadors graduate, our support to them wouldn't stop. 2 years ago, we introduced the MOCC Scholars Initiative, which is aimed to provide a platform for those MOCC alumni to continue their climate journey, because we can tell that most of them would just be as devoted even after graduation in terms of promoting climate action in the community. So we try our best to support them, and so that their influence could be extended to the wider community. And then last year, we introduced the MOCC Ambassador Travel Grant, sponsoring 4 students to attend international conferences. And through this experience, they really have developed a totally different perspective in viewing the collective action in promoting sustainability. And the third point I want to talk about that the museum focused on is knowledge exchange. So we organize international conferences. Here is an example. Last year, we had this global conference on climate change, where we featured a Chinese research vessel, Shuilong 2, and there was an exhibition and sharing of polar research insights. And the most interesting part is a real-time dialogue between over 300 school students and 3 Antarctic scientists. So it has caused a lot of interest and also follow-up conversations in this very important area. And in addition to our permanent exhibition in the museum, we also would collaborate with different partners such as NGOs, artists, research institutes, and other cultural institutions on thematic exhibitions. So usually these exhibitions would be focusing on topics that are gaining a lot of public interest, or something that our scientists would think that is too important to miss. So we want the general public to at least have an initial taste of these very important areas that we want them to know more about, and to further their interest in it, to explore more in these areas. So here I also listed some examples, but I would not spend time reading them out. Next, so I talked about strategy. So the museum is just one part of the university's effort and strategies in pursuing its social responsibility for sustainable development. So first of all, we have a very solid governance structure. We have our strategic plan. The current one is going to conclude this year, and we are now working on the new one for the next 5 years. So under this strategic plan, guided by it, we have set up a committee on social responsibility and sustainable development, which is charged to oversee the implementation of the relevant policies. And like I mentioned just now, we have established a dedicated office in supporting these areas of work. So in terms of policy leadership, here are some examples. I would like to draw your attention to the third one, the carbon offsetting encouragement policy. It is a comparatively new policy in the university. So since its launch last year, we have already collectively reduced a 25.4 tons of CO2. So this is by voluntarily contributed by the individual faculty members and staff of the university, who would offset the carbon caused by their business travel. So we think it is a very simple policy and can encourage a lot of commitment and participation. So next one, In terms of campus-wide engagement, we have launched different kinds of programs and activities to make sure that from faculty members, staff, and researchers and students, and as well as alumni will be part of our effort. For example, we have this SDG Action Fund introduced to provide financial support to staff and students to encourage them to initiate community-driven solutions to promote the sustainable development goals. And another example is the energy conservation incentive schemes. Under this scheme, individual units and departments are encouraged to save energy consumption. So if they are able to save in the electricity bills, the savings will be shared between the contributing department and the university central. So this is a very big incentive for them to take part in energy conservation. So since the launch of these two schemes, we have already reduced 8,600 tons of CO2. And finally, about monitoring and reporting, we have published an annual publication, Sustainable Development Matters, where we will report on our achievements and efforts in promoting the SDGs. And we also encourage the students to take part in it by, say, contributing success stories and their suggestions for improvement to the reporting. And another example is the Hong Kong Sustainable Campus Consortium annual report. So this is a consortium formed by the 8 publicly funded universities in Hong Kong. So through this publication, we will be able to share best practices and also set our common sustainability KPIs. So with these very well-structured governance and also strategies, we will be able to pursue our commitment to climate action. So here I'm going to share 2 examples. The first is the pursuing climate education and engagement through the Museum of Climate Change. So like I mentioned, we have exhibitions, seminars, and workshops to promote making responsible and sustainable life choices to reduce our environmental impact. So this is a rather deep engagement with the whole community instead of just our campus. And then in the museum, we would encourage the visitors to make a climate pledge. So at the end of their tour, they are invited to commit to a small action. Say, for example, I will walk rather than drive. So it's small actions like this that we will be able to make a real change to our planet. So in the museum, together they have already pledged to reduce over 5,000 tons of CO2, which is equivalent to removing 305,000 cars from roads for 1 whole year. So I would say that this is quite an impact on our environment. So another example is setting a roadmap to carbon neutrality. This is one of the university's social responsibility goals in the university new strategic plan for the next 5 years. So we are committed to low carbon campus development. All our new capital projects, all new buildings will be achieving the BEAM plus platinum rating. So we hope that we set very high standards and we make sure that all the buildings and their operations are really environmentally friendly. And we even set a target to complete a net zero building in the year 2029. So we have other initiatives such as the solar on campus, which encourages the use and generation of solar energy. And then the green mobility for blue sky is to support the transitioning to EVs. And we also, through this program, would help improve the air quality on campus. And then I would like to talk a little bit more about global partnerships. So we think that it is very important for us to maintain the thought leadership in this area in promoting climate action. So we have been actively participating in the UN climate conferences, COP28, 29, and 30. And our faculty and students are also members who will be able to attend these meetings. And this will provide them a very good platform to share their research and policy insights. And we also hosted a global conference on sustainable development in year 2023. So we were able to gather experts from different areas, different parts of the world to share their insights. And then we were the regional co-host of the THE Times Higher Education Global Sustainable Development Congress, and where we have contributed to a panel about sustainable cities, so how this could be realized in different parts of the world. And another example is forming strategic international networking. So Giovanna has mentioned that we are, the host of the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network in Hong Kong, and we also are the founding member of the UNEP Nature Positive Universities Alliance, which has a focus on biodiversity conservation. And more recently, we are one of the founding members of the Culture for the Planet, which is going to be launched next month. It is our joint effort trying to promote a unified approach to sustainability in the arts and cultural sector. So before I close, I would like to take this opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to partnerships. So I would also like to invite all of you to join CHK and the MOCC in shaping a sustainable future through innovation, education, and collective responsibility. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Cecilia, and that's a lovely note to end and call collaboration amongst everyone. I really like this note that you ended on. Okay, moving on to our next speaker, we now have Jeanette Lin, who is from the National Theater and Concert Hall in Taipei, Taiwan. Lin is currently the executive assistant to the National Theater Concert Hall artistic director, and it also head of sustainability and inclusion team. She is committed to the promotion and advocacy of cultural sustainability issues. Holding a master's in arts administration and management from TNUA and a BA degree in French from Tam Kang University, she has served as an independent producer since 2010 and also as the director of Thinker Studios, thereby accumulating rich experience in independent production, venue operation, and international cooperation. Jeanette, welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jeanette, and it's really a pleasure to be here. And maybe I can share my screen first. Yes. Hi. Let me say hi again. Yes, I'm Jeanette, and I'm the executive assistant of National Theater and Concert Hall in Taiwan. I'm the assistant of the general and artistic director, and also the head of the sustainability and inclusion team. So today I would like to introduce to you about the National Theater and Concert Hall. We can call it NTCH. It will be easier to read. Okay, now you can see this is the photo of NTCH. You can see our building is like the design of the traditional Chinese palace. Yes, and on the left-hand side, you can see is the National Theater, and the right-hand side is the concert hall. And in between, there is a big plaza. And in the early years, actually the plaza is more like a symbolic of some political movement. But now it turned into be like a outdoor space for us to do some outdoor performances, like a jazz concert or a dance. It's like a performance venue. And National Theater and Concert Hall was built in 1987, and annually there are 1,000 performances in indoor performances. And for our program team, we host about 58 programs per year, and there are around 650,000 audiences per year, and we have 260 staff. And here you can see our 4 venues, and there are National Theater and Concert Hall and Experimental Theater, and the other is the Recital Hall. And then I would like to speak about a little bit about our journey from the theater to the sustainability journey. Yes, and actually, National Theater in Council Hall, we had a big instruction during 2015, and at that moment, as you can see from the photo in the pages before, you can see the building of NTCH. It's really like a big and huge temple, and also about the also because of the history before about the plaza. Actually, at that moment, National Theater and Council is like really a far away spaces for the ordinary people. Yes. So during the construction, we are trying to break the wall between the audiences. So and at that moment, we are started to think about the inclusiveness policy. We hope to encourage all different kinds of the audiences. They can come into the theater to watch the performance, and also we can provide different kinds of the like barrier-free services for all kinds of audiences. So we trying to ensure to make the access to theater can be more smoother. So from 2016, we started to do some accessible facilities. So until now, we have already 28 facilities has been done. And on the screen, you can also see there's a removable armrest seating. Yes, it is the new facilities that we just finished about 2 years ago. And it's the hand, you can move it. So it will be a more flexible seating for the people who in need. And then about the inclusive services, until now we have 19 services has been done. As you can see, there's something like a Chinese captioning and audio description, and also like relaxed performances. And also we organize lots of different kinds of outreach programs, and we invite the students maybe from all over the Taiwan. They can come to the theater to watch the performance, because sometimes the performance in the theater is still a little bit far from the students. They are not who is not living in Taiwan, in Taipei. Yes. So after we developed the inclusiveness policy for about 6 years, and then we faced the pandemic. And then during the pandemic time, the theater, we have to shut down. So actually, it's quite good for us, because we could have time to really to think about the relationships between the theater venue and the society. And because of that time, we also have some communication with our international partners. And then we face that in Europe, there is a sustainability concept is already running out, and everyone is trying to do that. And then we just realized that before we are always thinking about the relationship between the people, but maybe it's the time we can start to think about the relationship with the environment. Yes. So at that time, we started to define the sustainability concept of NTCH. So we learned from the UN conference that we think it is a good concept for us. That is, we are trying to find the balance between the social, environment, and also the economic. And in between, I think that is only the thing we can really do it as a sustainability. And then, so we started to implement the concept of sustainability into our theater. So we organize lots of workshops and lectures, and we also do the interview with each department to ask everyone what is their concept about sustainability, what kind of the action do they think they can they can do it during their daily operation. And also at that moment, we think, although we are already thinking about many different kinds of action, but we don't really have the data of the NTCH. So we started to do the greenhouse gas inventory in 2023. We did it early year, yes. So we have done the greenhouse inventory in 2022. It was our baseline year. And then we realized that, wow, so the most carbon emission item is the electricity. And then it's the product use. For example, it's like the promotional materials like flyers, posters, something like that. And then the third one is the transportation. So we started to think, now we know how much weight we are, so we are trying to lose our weight. So maybe we should start from these three items. And then we started to do some actions about it, try to reduce it. So for the electricity consumption, actually, NTCH, you see, it's really two huge buildings in Taipei. So actually, when we opened, the government has already have already think we are the electricity user who use very much. So they are already started to control our consumption. So actually from 1988, we are already thinking about how to reduce the electricity consumption. So we review our work habits and we adjust our operation. For example, like the air condition, in the theater, they will gather lots of people. But in the early time, maybe we will open the air condition whole day long. But now maybe we can try to just turn on the air condition, maybe only 2 hours before the performances. Yes, so we are keep reviewing all the work habits that we are doing, and we replace the high energy equipment and the lighting, and also implement the energy management system. So we can see there's I think it's a quite good data for us, because from 1988 until now, about the power use, we cut I think almost half of the power use. And then for the CO2 emissions, we also cut from 12 million to 5 million kilograms. So annual energy saving is about 1.68%. And as for the product use, about the printing materials that I just mentioned, actually for NTCH, we run a magazine, performing art magazine before, and it's already about 20 years. So we just make it really very quick to decide we want to make the magazine to be online, to be a digital media. So we now all the magazine has been online, and it actually, when it comes to be online, it will be easier for people to read the articles. So the viewer of the article is getting really increased. And we also reduce the printing programs, and during our internal operation, internal meetings, we are doing the paperless. So actually all the paper working now is all turning to be online, to be a digital working. And that is also a good data is we save about 800 trees annually. Yes. And then the third one is about the transportation. And for the transportation, I think we really need hard communication with our audiences. So this year we started to do the green transportation project with our audience, and we cooperate with a ticketing system, public transportation ticketing system. So we have some lottery for the audiences. So if they take the bus, take the metro, bike to the theater, maybe they can have the chance to have some gifts. And also we trying to adjust the audience pocketing discounts. And then, so now, I think in the early age, we have already done many different kinds of actions, and it's all like a huge change for the theater. But now we think it will be more important to do the daily practice. Maybe it's a small action, but small actions can really make big differences. So we are from recently, we're starting to think how to do more public advocacy. So we have about 4 targets that we are trying to influence or to cooperate with. One is audience and the enterprise and art community and the theater company. And for the audience, I just mentioned that we have the green transportation project, and also NTCH, we also run a ticketing system, which is called OpenTix. So we are also trying to initiate the audiences to use the e-tickets. And for the e-tickets, it's also, we can see the huge growth about the user, and they're all, they're around 60% of the program. They're also offer the e-ticket services to their audiences. So we think it's also a good action for the audience to do. And then for the theater company, because NTCH, we are more like a receiving house. There 80% of the program is like by rental, and we only ourselves only organize about 20 to 30% of the program. So for us, we think it's really important to communicate with the theater companies, so it can really make things change. So, but for the main core produce program, we have the training of each of our team to have the sustainability concept, to make the concept implement into their productions. And we also trying to extending the program lifespan, like maybe we can do more tour with the sustainability in a green way, or you can use some recycle materials to do your props or your costumes. And also this year, we're starting to program the production carbon footprint. And we are trying to count how much carbon footprint per performance will take. And for the external rentals, because there, as I mentioned, there are lots of programs is hosted by the rental performing group. And sometimes it's a little bit tricky for us to do the communication with them, because maybe although we are really want to make things work, but sometimes if you push too much, sometimes maybe they will have the opposite reaction. So now for the external rentals, we are trying to do like the sustainability action checklist. We will have six actions, and each of the group will have the checklist, so they can check for this performance, this production, how many actions they can really do it during the production. Maybe for 6, maybe now they only can achieve 3 actions, but it's also fine, because the other 3 will be like a reference for them in the future. Maybe their next production, they can try to do more items. So it's a kind of a soft initiate students. Hope everyone can raise their concept and trying to do that more. And then about the enterprise. Actually, in Taiwan, in 2023, the Financial Supervision Commission, they also already have the rule for the company. If they encourage to have the sponsorship with the art sections, to help the art section to do some sustainability actions, so they can have some grants or some points in their evaluation. Yes. So now for NTCH, it will be a little bit easier for us to have the sponsorship with the company. Yes, because they know National Theater is doing the sustainability actions, so we can connect easier than before. So on the average, there are about 30 companies cooperate with us for each year. And then the last one is in the art industry initiative, we have also lots of connection with the local institution in Taiwan. Yes, and also for the international partners, we have joined the Stages in 2022, and Stages is the Sustainable Theater Alliance for Green Environmental Shift. So we have the relationship with 13 theater and institutions in Europe, and each year we will have a meeting, and we will meet each other, and we will have the co-production together and to communicate with them to know more about what kind of the policy they are doing, what kind of problem they are facing, and we can exchange more. And we are really also excited that we joined Culture for the Planet this year, and we are really looking forward to our exchange in the future. Yes, and I think for the theater like us, sometimes if we just do it by ourselves, I think I think it's really not enough, because I think the partnership is really important, and the small actions can really make difference. So that is the path that's the journey that we are still working on it. And I'm looking forward to the exchange after our sharing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jen. It's amazing to see. I was saying, introducing our final speaker, Suilin Shua from the National Gallery Singapore. As head of sustainability at the National Gallery Singapore, Suilin has led the gallery's effort to reduce its energy consumption.
Sorry, Giovanna, to interrupt you. There is something with the sound. Perhaps the battery. Are you using inalambric microphones?
No, I'm connected. Can you hear me now? Now I can see that the green thing is going up, but
yes, when you face the screen, we could hear you, but when you show on the other side,
I will face the screen and only the screen.
Thank you very much.
That's great. Let me know. Please stop me again if something happens again.
Thank you.
As I was saying, Suilin Shua from the National Gallery Singapore. She is head of sustainability at the National Gallery and has led the gallery's effort to reduce its energy consumption and developing and putting into place the museum's decarbonization roadmap. She continues to build ESG into the gallery's core business and enjoys collaborating with other organizations to promote sustainability in the arts and culture sector. Prior to the gallery, Suilin worked in the legal and financial services sectors in Singapore and in the US. Welcome, Suilin.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Giovanna, and thanks for having me here. I would say bom dia, buenas tardes, and good evening. Let me share my screen. All right, great. Well, again, I'm Suilin Shua, and I'm very happy to be here amongst very distinguished colleagues. I'm from the National Gallery Singapore. Well, just by way of some introduction for those who might not be familiar with Singapore. Singapore is a tiny urban city-state island in Southeast Asia. We are really small. The main island is about 49 kilometers from east to west and 28 kilometers from north to south. We're located on the equator and experience hot tropical weather that generally ranges from between 25 degrees to 35 degrees Celsius year-round. National Gallery Singapore is situated in the heart of Singapore's Civic District. It's housed in two national monuments, Singapore's City Hall, built in 1829, and the former Supreme Court, built in 1839. Both of these have been restored and transformed to a 64,000 square meter visual art museum. In November this year, National Gallery Singapore will celebrate our 10th anniversary. Well, in this presentation, I'll be referring to National Gallery Singapore very often as the gallery. National Gallery Singapore is home to the largest public collection of art from Singapore and Southeast Asia. Our vision is to be a progressive museum that inspires a thoughtful, creative, and inclusive society. Sustainability is integral to this vision, ensuring that our practices support not only art and culture, but also the well-being of society and the environment. The gallery is committed to sustainability. Our sustainability commitment is grounded on 3 pillars: having respect for the environment, generating positive social impact, and financial responsibility. We work towards reducing our museum's carbon footprint whilst contributing meaningfully to society and maintaining financial health to sustain our mission long-term. A key milestone in Gallery's decarbonization roadmap is for us to reduce our energy consumption and increase our on-site renewable energy generation to become a super low energy certified building. The gallery is also aiming to be net zero by 2045, in line with Singapore government's targets. Our goals to reduce energy consumption and boost renewable energy generation will bring us the added benefit of lowering our operating costs. Following an energy and carbon audit that we've done, we've developed a decarbonization plan that focuses on reducing the gallery's energy use intensity, or what we call EUI, by improving the gallery's building's mechanical and electrical systems. Our building enhancement projects include improving our chiller plant efficiency, retrofitting the air handling unit and humidity control system, expanding solar PV installations on gallery's rooftop, and completing our transition to LED lighting with smart IoT controls. Waste reduction strategies are also underway. We have started to track our GHG scopes 1 and 2 and part of scope 3. We are also starting to work on our sustainability reporting. As a start, gallery sustainability disclosures are available on our website. Moving on to the social sustainability front. Our efforts focus on investing in our people to be inclusive and contribute positively to our communities. We welcome visitors of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds to discover the value of art. We recognize the power of art to challenge and equip us with new perspectives and help us adapt to an increasingly complex world. The gallery, we are committed to accessibility, providing resources and accommodations to our visitors, including visitors with access needs. For instance, we are service dog friendly, and we have a calm room where visitors can rest if they are feeling overstimulated or overwhelmed. Engagement with schools is also a key part of our social sustainability efforts. At the gallery, we offer tours to engage students and teachers and to help develop students' visual observation and interpretation skills. We raise awareness and promote wellness through programs like Slow Art, Strength Through Art, and the Gallery Wellness Festival. We also support people with dementia and their caregivers via Art With You program. Our certification as a dementia go-to point reflects our commitment to creating welcoming and supportive environments for diverse audiences. Diversity and inclusion are important considerations in our programming, in our exhibitions, as well as our publications. Our internal staff diversity and inclusion group actively works to reflect the communities we serve and address biases at both personal and structural levels through open dialogue and learning. Meanwhile, our internal staff welfare committee called Tetris supports staff well-being by organizing activities that promote physical, mental, and social health, fostering a positive workplace culture. On the financial sustainability front, we seek to be responsible in our spending and investment practices for long-term resilience and stability. For the gallery's investments, our fund managers are committed to investing responsibly and integrate ESG considerations into their investment decisions. This approach aligns with our broader sustainability goals. At the gallery, we realize that to be truly sustainable, we need to integrate sustainability across our organization so that it becomes a core part of our business and culture. We have some departments that have become strong champions of sustainability, and I will highlight some of the good work they have done. Our artwork and exhibition management team reuses and repurposes exhibition display infrastructure whenever possible. Transportation is optimized by using smaller vehicles and consolidating shipments. Our facilities management and AVL teams have installed programmable lighting systems to help reduce energy use in galleries and public areas. Our commitment to sustainability extends to galleries, publications, and communications. Our content publications team is committed to reducing and, where possible, eliminating physical prints in favor of digital and hybrid publishing formats. When printing is necessary, we engage FSC-certified printers to ensure responsible sourcing and tracking of carbon emissions. These efforts help minimize our environmental impact while maintaining high-quality communication and outreach. We further integrate sustainability into our gallery events by eliminating single-use plastics, and we encourage guests to use public transportation to our venue. Singapore Green Gov-related clauses are included in leases with our gallery's tenants to promote sustainable practices. Additionally, we foster sustainability awareness through sustainability newsletters and activities for our staff, and we share this with colleagues at our sister museums, Singapore Art Museum and STPI. We hope we can help build a culture of environmental awareness and responsibility across institutions. Our curatorial programs team worked with curators and educators to create an online course that explores the intersection of art and the environment. This program, called Art and the Environment in Southeast Asia, examines how artists have engaged with environmental themes from the 19th century to today, enriching audiences' understanding of the socio-political and ecological contexts influencing artistic expression. This online course is available to all, free. I would be amiss if I don't mention that collaboration is key to advancing our sustainability goals. I'd like to highlight a few. I had mentioned earlier that Singapore is practically on the equator and we experience hot and humid weather year-round. Following museum best practices in gallery spaces where there are artworks, National Gallery Singapore maintains stable gallery temperature at between 20 to 35 degrees Celsius and relative humidity at 50% to 60%. We draw energy from the grid to maintain this consistent cool temperature and low humidity 24/7. This means that we are generating a fair amount of Scope 2 emissions. With this in mind, we are collaborating with Singapore's Heritage Conservation Centre, National Heritage Board, and A-Star on an important pilot project and research on sustainable management of collection environments in tropical climates. This research aims to find sustainable solutions for the care of the national collection and to optimize energy consumption and reduce carbon footprint, while ensuring the preservation of collections on display and in storage. Another collaboration was Gallery's participation in the 5th International Conference in Energy Efficiency in Historic Buildings last year. My gallery colleague, Mark Cheeves, shared insights on adaptive reuse and sustainable design of galleries, buildings, and features. Last year, we also collaborated with Singapore Management University Academy and worked with their sustainability program students on some of their capstone projects. These projects include developing carbon calculators to measure emissions for exhibitions and festivals, and provide recommendations for sustainable procurement practices. I hope we'll be able to implement these calculators and recommendations in the near future. Looking ahead, we are reframing our sustainability approach to align with environmental, social, and governance ESG frameworks. This is supported by Singapore's Charity Council requirements. Gallery is a non-profit organization. We are also finding that grantors are increasingly linking funding to sustainability performance, prompting us to further strengthen and formalize our ESG framework. Also, we have been doing a lot on the social sustainability front. At this juncture, we think it would be important to conduct a materiality assessment to better understand our current stakeholders' priorities, so as to inform the areas that we should focus on and develop. We are also finding ways to measure social impact that is not only quantitative, but where possible, more qualitative. We believe that these steps will help ensure our sustainability efforts will be strategic and impactful. Before I end my presentation, I'd like to do a plug for University of Lausanne and the Gallery. Based on a study done by the University of Lausanne, published last year, National Gallery Singapore is ranked the fourth most sustainable museum and the 8th most sustainable cultural organization globally. This recognition is hugely encouraging to us, and it pushes us to work harder to improve our sustainability efforts and performance. Thank you all for your time. I hope that your interest is piqued, and I will get to welcome you all to National Gallery Singapore sometime in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Celine. It's great, on a great note, and thank you to end with the research that started Culture for the Planet. We're very lucky to have had so many interesting people and organizations part of the research. As we move on to the Q&A, I'm aware that we have 13 minutes only, so I'm sure that we have a lot of questions. I will start with asking each of the presenters one question, and then hopefully we can get through them a bit fast, so I would ask not too long of an answers. And then we can go into questions that are being sent through the Q&A or through the chat. I will start with a question to Lorena. Lorena, are you there? I can't see you. Here you are. Yes. Your team bridges indigenous voices, scientists, conservationists, and contemporary art. What tensions or challenges arise in holding these very different forms of knowledge together in one institutional framework?
So first of all, thank you all so much. I love the presentations. I have thousands of questions, and I just made 1,000 notes here. So yeah, my mind's bubbling with so many references. But answering your question, Giovanna, I think the main challenge was an epistemological challenge, because so as I said, Inhotim is this institution very unique that is art, science because of nature, and at the same time territory. So in the territory we are based in the middle of Brazil, so of course we are influenced by these popular knowledges. And how do we bring all this knowledge into the same hierarchy? We don't make any difference of leverage of what's more important. So science is based on data, indigenous and popular knowledge is relational and contextual, and contemporary art is provocative and at the same time has a whole tradition of the canon of contemporary art. So how do we bring this all together and not creating hierarchies? So I think that Inyo-Chin has this mission in this in the core business, in the core, I think in the core of the institution, there is this mission of creating dialogues between science, art, and territory. So yes, I think that Boaventura dos Santos is a very good theoretical framework to think about this ecology of knowledge, how this coexistence of different knowledges reshape each other. So I don't know if I answered our question, but yeah, okay. Thank you, Giovanna.
Definitely. No, thank you. It's very interesting to see how we frame and how we address these challenges. So thank you, Lorena. Cecilia, the next one is for you. The Museum of Climate Change has trained over more than 1,000 ambassadors and even supported them to attend COPs. How do you see these young people carrying the museum's impact beyond the campus into society and policy spaces?
Okay, thank you, Giovanna, for a very good question. So it got me in thinking, what is the value of for us to provide these trainings and opportunities for the students? So I think my answer is that these MOCC ambassadors, even after they graduate, they are continuing to stay connected with us. So this is the first very important thing, because we don't see them as just students completing their 4 years of study in the university and completing their internship in the museum, and then we say goodbye to each other and then that's it. But rather they are permanently partners of the museum. So we have this group of MOCC alumni, and I also mentioned in my presentation that we launched the MOCC Scholars Initiative. So what are the differences between the alumni and the scholars? Mainly the scholars are those who have reached a more advanced stage in their pursuit in climate action. For example, we have graduates who completed PhD study in Oxford and turned into an Oxford lecturer now in England. And then we have another MOCC alumnus who is now pursuing a PhD study in Princeton University. So it is partners like them who really are giving us very encouraging messages. So we want to stay connected with these students, and then we will keep on helping them create a sense of ownership of the climate action they are pursuing. And we also would continue to provide them with a venue, which is the museum, for them to communicate with other people, for them to tell people what they think as young people is the most important that we need to collectively work on so that we really can make a difference. So this is what we are trying to do. I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, thank you so much. And it's so interesting to see how the museum and the university really can achieve a broader systemic change. So thank you. The next question is to Jeanette. The NTCH journey into sustainability began with social inclusion and later then expanded into environmental responsibility. How do you see these two dimensions reinforcing one another in practice?
Yes, that is a really great question, because we really face lots of challenges between these two. Although at the first, in the beginning, we focus on the social inclusion, but later on we've realized that without the sustainable environment, actually the cultural participation cannot be left. So it's really important to have these two to connect together. But actually, in our experience, sometimes these two will also have the conflicts between themselves. For example, for us, maybe for the environmental side, we would like to reduce the printing amount. But as for to reduce the printing, so we would like to change into the digital flyer, something, a program like that. But actually, sometimes for some elderly audience, maybe they are not really familiar with how to use their smartphone. So we still need to print some program for them. So, and the other one is, although we encourage the audiences to take the public transportation, but actually for us, the fee of the parking is really an important income for the theater. Yes. So sometimes for us, we really trying to find the balance between these two. And I think for the sustainability, there is no ideal choices, but it's always finding the balance and looking for the best solution for the moment, at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. That is such an interesting question, answer, and so interesting to see the different challenges and barriers and how everything is a balance when you have such a big institution. Next, Suilin, a question for you. The gallery has committed to net zero by 2045. What have been the biggest barriers, or technical, financial, or cultural, in embedding this decarbonization roadmap into a major heritage building? And what concrete steps have proven the most effective so far?
Well, thanks for the question, Giovanna. I think that there are two aspects to that question. I was thinking more in terms of, okay, so what were the concrete steps that have proven effective to us? I think this is what my favorite word, and that's to reuse of old buildings. I think that's so key, because that way you avoid having embodied carbon emissions. So that, you see, the beauty of the National Gallery Singapore, I mentioned that we are in the two monuments, and one was the City Hall and one was the former Supreme Court. And that way, by repurposing these two buildings, we saved a lot of embodied carbon. And, I'm very happy that, we did that. The other was, when the building was built, we had a lot of sustainability design features already incorporated. So the architects, we worked with architects and designers, and construction was done with that sustainability in mind. So we're a beautiful location. You can see my backdrop, and it's that's what we call the Padang Atrium. We have got a veil that covers it kind of links the two buildings, and as you can see a lot of natural light coming through. So in that way, we've got, we saved on lighting. At the same time, we have got a water feature that sits on top of our gallery roof, and that helps allow light come through, and also reduces urban heat. We also have features like green walls that help cool the building and help purify the air to some extent. So these, and LED has always been, installed from the beginning, but now we're working towards 100% towards LED and IoT systems. So, the design features are important. And in terms of I think that in terms of challenges that we're facing, we have been very focused on working on how do we actually improve our systems. We are only 10 years old when you think of it, so we're pretty young. But being a museum, as I mentioned earlier, we are in a hot tropical climate. And with that, we have to use a lot of electricity to keep our buildings cool and humidity down. So even though we're pretty new, improving and retrofitting our ACMV, our systems, makes a difference. And I think that this is a challenge that you'll all understand. Funding is always the hardest part. So when we were seeking funding, we now have gotten funding to do major retrofitting and improvement works in order to lower our carbon footprint, or our EUI, by 20 to possibly 30%. And in doing so, you do have to not only show the environmental impact that you'll be, getting by way of the reduction in carbon emissions, but more importantly, to funders, you need to show what they're getting by way of return on investment. So in other words, the financial benefits. So we are also on climate change. We know that the climate crisis is happening, but on the other hand, not everyone thinks like us. So we have got to think like a business person sometimes and actually do the calculations to show if you do not do this, how much energy will you be using in order and what that translates to cost. So I guess, that was basically, what I had in mind to share. Thank you for the question.
Thank you so much. And it's interesting also learning from my experience, also working in museums, a lot of the challenges that you mentioned are some that I'm sure that all of the organizations and everyone who presented today has faced. We had some additional questions on the chat and on the Q&A, but I'm very mindful of our time, which has officially ended just now. And as Lorena said, right, all of the presentations were so inspiring and so amazing, and I'm sure we all have 1,000 things going through our head. So this is an invitation for us all to stay connected and, of course, to continue this conversation, which I think is so important. And for us as Culture for the Planet, this global view, right? So have a global South, but also global East, and we're from Europe, but I'm from Brazil. So this really global view into how we can advance sustainability in the arts and culture. I want to thank Mauro again for inviting Culture for the Planet and myself to host this session. And thank you so much for everybody who participated and for our presenters.
We would like to thank you, Giovanna, and the Culture for the Planet team for coordinating this fantastic roundtable discussion. We also like to thank the speakers for sharing all the important work they do in their cultural institutions.